If you love Paul Harvey stories and the rest of the story, subscribe now. Now the rest of the story. Robert was 24 when the unbelievable news reached his ears. His father, his complicated, demanding, uncompromising father, had shot himself to death, unquestionably intentionally. And yet he left not the slightest clue as to why. Once that Korean medley ran through Robert's brain, a collage of contradictory memories, there was Dad, charming and witty, warm and kind, listening intently to somebody's problem with an empathy born of the most sensitive spirit. And there was Dad, brooding in a bar, downing one after another, growing more angry by the minute until he started a fist fight with anybody. There was Dad falling victim again, as so often before, to the greatest weakness, his irresistible urge to say precisely what was on his mind without the slightest consideration of the possible consequences. It cost him so many friends, and it nearly cost him his son. But Robert loved his dad, and in the best way he knew how. Dad returned that love, in spite of which, perhaps even because of which, they got into some terrible arguments. Among the flood of recollections, bitter and sweet, were Robert's memories of himself, a skinny boy in tears, trying so desperately to please a man who sometimes could not be pleased by anything. And still Robert tried, and one of the ways was sports. That battle was lost from the beginning. Of all the endeavors at which he might have succeeded, those involving a ball, any ball, were just not among them. Give Robert a ball and he would drop it. Invariably a football, a baseball, a basketball, each eluded his grasp with equal and infuriating consistency. And as his athletic disinclination grew increasingly apparent, his appreciation of animals grew, especially of cats, whose agility astounded him. In any case, Robert was at once fanatically competitive and yet utterly unable to compete in any sport. So it was when his young friends went outside and played games, Robert stayed inside and read books, Greek and Roman mythology, classic literature of all kinds. Those were Robert's boyhood redemption, the windows through which he could gaze out upon a world devoid of limitation. Dad was, in his own words, appalled, even horrified, to learn that Robert had chosen classics as a college major. And so, once again, in Dad's eyes, his son had dropped the ball. But now Dad was gone. It was time. Robert decided to find a ball that he could hang on to, pick up, and run with, and he did. He did. So you never knew the clumsy youngster who so frequently fell short of his father's expectations. You never